dispense with.
Without objection,
The Democratic leader and I have had an opportunity to have a discussion, and it leads to the following. We'll now cast a vote on the witness question, and once that vote is complete, I would ask that the Senate stand in recess, subject to call of the chair.
thank you. Without objection, so ordered. The question is, shall it be in order to consider and debate under the impeachment rules any motion to subpoena witnesses or documents? The yeas and nays are required under Senate Resolution 483. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander? No. Ms. Baldwin? Aye. Mr. Barrasso? No. Mr. Bennett? Aye. Mrs. Blackburn? No. Mr. Blumenthal? Mr. Blunt? No. Mr. Booker? Aye.
Trial, the roll call has begun.
No.
Already we've heard from Senator Lamar Alexander, one of those key Republicans who was considering witnesses at one point, but he started out with a vote of no. It's been a straight party line vote so far. Let's listen.
No. Mr. Kramer? No. Mr. Crapo? No. Mr. Cruz? No. Mr. Daines? No. Ms. Duckworth? Aye. Mr. Durbin? Aye. Mr. Enzi?
This is the vote. Susan
No.
Collins of Maine
Mrs. Fisher?
has voted yes.
No. Mr. Gardner? No. Mrs. Gillibrand? Aye. Mr. Graham? No. Mr. Grassley? No. Ms. Harris? Aye. Ms.
If this goes
Bassett?
as we expect, all
Aye.
but two
Mr.
Republicans,
Hawley?
Senator Susan Collins and Mitt Romney,
No.
Republicans of
Mr.
Utah,
Heinrich?
will vote no. All Democrats
Aye. Ms.
expected
Hirono?
to vote yes.
Aye. Mr. Hoven? No. Mrs. Height-Smith? No. Mr. Inhofe? No. Mr. Johnson? No. Mr. Jones? Aye. Mr. Kane?
Doug Jones,
Mr.
Republican,
Kennedy.
Democrat of Alabama, Romney, Republican of Utah, the strongest
Aye.
advocate
Mr.
on the
Rounds.
Republican side, calling for witnesses.
No. Mr. Rubio? No. Mr. Sanders? Aye. Mr. Sass? No. Mr.
Average days, they just mill around, walk up to the desk, say yay or nay. Much more formal in the Senate trial.
Are there any senators in the chamber wishing to change his or her vote? If not, the yeas are 49, the nays are 51.
As expected, the Democratic motion to allow witnesses has been defeated. Close vote, 51 to 49, 49 to 51. Two Republicans voting along with the Democrats, but that was it. Mitch McConnell was able to hold his party in line in defense of the president on this key question of witnesses. The Senate is now going to go into recess. I want to go to our senior congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, for more on that. We've known since the beginning of the day that this vote would go down. The Democrats' attempts to get witnesses, despite a new revelation from John Bolton today, had not succeeded. What we don't know yet is the end game for this trial, which is why they've just gone into recess. Again, a dispute over how many more days to take. Will they finish tonight, tomorrow, into next week?
Yeah, and George, there has been a flurry of activity and negotiations here. In fact, we saw that playing out actually on the Senate floor right before this vote. You could see the Republican leader, the Democratic leader, many of their top staff and aides huddling, I suspect discussing exactly that question of what comes next. How does this play out? How do they get between this point and that ultimate final vote on the articles of impeachment? So here's essentially where things stand, and this is very in flux, but Republicans, many of them, they want to move quickly here. They are done with this process. They want to get it over with, but they also don't love the look of having a vote to acquit the president in the wee hours of the morning if they were to go ahead and do this and plow through tonight. Democrats are urging to slow this down. They want to have their members who have now had to sit silently through all of this to have a moment to stand and speak publicly, to go on the record and be able to say, for the record of history, essentially, where they stand on this process and on the president's actions. I suspect also that some of those Republicans who have had concerns about this, those holdouts that we have been watching, those two Senate Republicans who just voted to oppose this, Mitt Romney and Susan Collins, they may also like to go on the record. Perhaps maybe some of the president's defenders as well. We know that right